Hi, family. Welcome back to episode 105. Just as a trigger warning, we do talk deeply about depression and what it looks like in our lives in this episode. I hope you enjoy, and I look forward to hearing from you. What is up, family? Welcome to episode 105. I cannot believe that we are literally halfway through season 1. Like, this is crazy. This is absolutely a dream come true. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I am so grateful for each and every one of you who listen every week. I'm already planning season 2 because I'm just in love with this, and I'm in love with each and every one of you. And I thank you for being a part of our family and supporting us. I have a treat for you today. My honey bun is our guest, and he gets really candid about his journey with depression. He gets really candid about his issues with his father, loss. He gets really candid and shares some really good advice with all of us, and so I am very excited for you guys to take a listen. But before we get started, y'all know how we start. We start with prayer because we are family, and that's what we do. Once again, this platform, this blog, this podcast is for everyone. No matter your religious background, no matter what you believe, everyone is welcome here. I do recognize Jesus Christ as the head of my life, and so I do want to just pray over you and over I before we begin. Father God, I just thank you for this day. I thank you for this interview. I thank you for every listener that is listening and every watcher that is watching. I thank you for the platform that is Curvy Confidence. I thank you for the transformation that is happening not only in my lives, but in each of my family members' lives. God, I thank you that you're doing a new thing, and that we are reaching new heights and new dimensions in our lives, that generational curses are being broken, that businesses are being started, that bitterness is being uprooted, that depression no longer has a place. I thank you, God, that we're moving to higher and higher and higher. Thank you, God. This we pray in your son Jesus' name. Amen. All right, y'all, you already know it is time for our gem of the day. And I was really struggling with if I was going to have this be the gem of the day or the gem of the week, because I've been talking about animals a lot. But no lie, this morning I was out on my balcony doing my meditation, doing my prayer, preparing for the day, and I looked up and there was a bald eagle flying. And I was like, thank you. His spirit came to meet mine and let me know that this was the appropriate gem of the day for today. I want to talk a little bit about baby eagles, and they're called eaglets. And what an eaglet does is they're in the nest, and eagles, obviously, when they're born, they don't know how to fly. They don't know that they can fly. When an eagle is born, it has no idea who it is or the potential that it will reach. However, his or her mother knows. The mother knows the level and the potential that eaglet will one day reach. So the eaglet just goes on about its life, and then one day the eaglet is pushed out of the nest by its mother. The eaglet struggles and tries to figure out why the mother would push it to its demise. Have you ever felt like that? Have you ever felt like you have been pushed? You have been pushed out of that comfortable position. You've been pushed out of that comfortable place. Nothing is going right. Nothing feels right. You're sad. You're depressed. You're lonely. Your heart is broken. The phone isn't ringing. There's no business opportunities. You don't know what is going on. You've been pushed and you're trying to find the right flap. You're trying to figure out how to fly. And then all of a sudden, your wings spread and you realize, I'm not falling no more. That was powerful for me. That just hit me. And let me explain why. I'm in a situation that requires consistent falling. You fall every day. Every day you're pushed out of the nest. And sometimes it can feel like I can't feel my wings. I don't know if they're there. But because how I was created, my DNA, because of the DNA that I have, I will be able to fly. And it's not by anything that I do that's special, anything that I have to manufacture. It is what it is. I can fly because I am who I am. I want to encourage you this week. You don't have to do anything extra. You don't have to be anybody else. You don't have to compare yourself to nobody else. You don't have to look and see what he or she, what they doing. You don't have to worry about it because your DNA says a thing about you. Who you are is greatness. You were created to fly. You were created to soar from level to level to level to level to level. And I'm so excited that that bald eagle greeted me this morning because I have been reading T.D. Jakes' book, Crushing. And if you have not read it, I don't care what your religious background is. It's really more of a self-help book. Please purchase it because it talks about the process of going from grapes to wine. And that in order for a grape to have longevity, it must become wine. But the only way that a grape becomes wine is by crushing. And that was 2 gems in 1 week. But I pray that it blesses you. And I pray that we can all get to a place where we realize that we don't have to be any more than who we designed and any more than who we created. And I don't want to sit up here and give you the impression that I am perfect at that. I am not. It is a daily struggle. I need to be reminded all the time of who I am because I forgot. And so as you are learning, I am learning too. And as I speak to you, I speak to me. All right, y'all. So I heard you. It was time to bring the sex tip of the week back. Let me explain why I stopped it. I stopped it because as I was going through the season, I was like, wait a minute. There's going to be teenagers listening to this. Like, maybe I shouldn't do that because what message am I really sending by doing a sex tip of the week? Well, I heard you. The people have spoken. Sex tip of the week is back. And this week, it is something so simple. It is something so simple. And what it is ladies. It's for my ladies, okay? Wear lingerie as much as you can. Now, this is a body positivity, self-esteem building, and sex tip all in one. Let me explain. When you wear the lingerie and you get comfortable in it and you see your curves, it's filling that baby out and it's sitting right and it's all tight. Even when your partner is not around, wear it. Wear it to bed. Wear it when you're just around the house. Love up on yourself because what happens is that self-confidence goes through the roof and you are no longer just a pleaser, but you a teaser. If you know what I mean. Ladies, trust me. It seems so simple. It seems like, really? But when I tell you, wear your lingerie. And when you get the ring, you're welcome. All right, y'all, it's that interview time. This interview with Antoine is so powerful. Antoine is a media personality. He is an entrepreneur. He is a radio host. He is a podcaster, and he is a huge supporter of the Curvy Confidence brand. He is also my sugar pie honey bun, and he offered us his heart in this interview. He literally poured out his heart. He talked about things that I did not know he was going to talk about. He really went there, and I'm so proud of this interview, and I know that it's going to bless you. Check it out. Let me know what you think. Okay. Hello, welcome to Curvy Confidence. We're so excited to have you.
Thank you for having me. Glad to be on the show.
Thank you. I did let the people know who you were briefly, but if you could, just let us know who you are.
Antoine Lights, media personality, radio personality, webmaster, designer, creator.
Yes. In a couple of days, well, this is being recorded on May 5th, Cinco de Mayo. In a couple of days, you are launching your very own blog. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, so May 9th, to be exact, I'll be releasing my website, and there's a lot of content on there. It's called Sports Music Spades and Dark Liquor. So it'll be focusing around sports, it'll be focusing around the music, and we may have some episodes where we'll have some events and stuff where we'll play some spades, and of course we'll enjoy a little cognac, all that good stuff,
Sounds good. So for anyone who follows me on Instagram or likes our Facebook page, if you ever saw me post a picture with an SMSD shirt that's black, white, and red, that is exactly what he is talking about. We're here to talk a little bit about depression. Can you just talk a little bit about what depression looks like for you, and B, what does being depressed even really mean?
As crazy as it sounds, depression has no face. Sometimes people don't even know that they're going through it until they, look at all the signs. But for me, it was definitely a dark place. I wasn't acting like myself. I didn't want to be around people. I was unmotivated. I just didn't want to do a lot of the things that I enjoyed doing. So that was definitely depression there. I thought it was just me being sad. So I really took like a dig deeper into it. Some things that transpired that really just put you in a sunken place, so to speak.
What is this? Can you describe this sunken place? Like, what does it look like? What does it feel like?
Loneliness, emptiness. You can't eat, you can't sleep. The things that you enjoy doing, you really don't even care for doing it. It's really, really dark place. Like I said, it's unimaginable. Some people can't even put it in words to fathom what it's like.
Where did your depression start? Like, when did you begin to notice that there may be something going on here that I need to dig deeper into?
I first noticed it when my grandmother died on my father's side. She didn't have a funeral. They just had the burial services, and that was it. There was no family around, and I couldn't make it. And usually some people, or I can't even say some people, a lot of people, before death happens, whether it's in the family or not, they usually see it in a dream, or the family member that passed will come to them in their dream, after the situation happens. That didn't happen for me, so it was. The last thing I remember was my grandmother, mistaking me for my younger brother, and I'm like, wow, this is almost it. And I was back home in Rochester, New York, for a short period of time, as it was all happening. And as I came back to Atlanta, that's when I got the news that it happened. So I was really, really heartbroken by it, and I never got the chance to, tell I love her, and I never got the chance to meet some of those family members on my dad's side that she knew about. So it was really like, I'm lost now. What do I do? And it was just really, really tough. It was a really, really tough place, especially because my grandfather, he had passed years before, so she was alone. And she would, always call me, always, check on me on Facebook and things like that. So to see her, in good spirits sometimes on Facebook and say, that's my grandson, he doing this, he doing that, it really made me feel good. So now, when that's no longer the case anymore, it hits me a little bit.
Yeah. Grandma had a Facebook.
Oh yeah, my grandma had a Facebook before. My mom had one. A lot of people had one. She had one. She would let her play poker on Facebook and casino and stuff like that. So that's how I knew she was online all time of day, all time of night.
I know that's right. You talked a little bit about loss being kind of the beginning point of you having depression. At what point after losing her, at what point did you begin to see what like or feel like what is going on? What was the moment for you that was like something is not right? I'm not my normal self.
My grades started to slip at Clark University. My finances were all over the place. Um, Battling with homelessness. It was a lot going on, and I'm like, you know what? I need to get out of this slump. I need to get back to how I am, how I was, you know, handling business. You know, I really just took a break from life, and it's like you can't take a break from life because it still keeps going. Life keeps going. You can't stop no matter what. You know, time waits for no man, and then obviously I thought I had time.
Earlier you talked about depression causing you to be unmotivated. Can you talk a little bit more about that and tell us a little bit more about what you mean?
So instead of me putting in the work that I knew I was able to put in, I was okay with watching. So that was whether social media, my friends, things like that, other people, I was okay with watching. And it was just like, what are you doing? This isn't you. You need to go do something. Nobody's going to save you. There's not going to be somebody to save the day, to pick you up where you left off or anything like that. It's all up to you to do it. And, I found myself just being on the sidelines.
Well, what did that feel like for you watching yourself be on the sidelines?
It's almost like one of those out of body experiences where you're watching yourself and you're just overlooking everything happen. And I was watching myself, and even my own pep talks didn't help me. It was like I would have to, really, really sit down and talk to myself and look myself in the mirror like, hey, man, you need to get it together, because, like I said, nobody's going to save the day. The only person that can save you is you. You can talk to God all day and ask and pray for a miracle, but it won't happen unless you put in the work.
I want to talk a little bit about depression and you being a man. Very recently you came out on social media and was very transparent, open with everyone, and you let them know that this is something that you have been struggling with. Can you talk about why that may have been hard for you as a man and what stigmas exist surrounding depression and manhood?
You can't show any vulnerability as a man. It's like you got to be strong. You got to be the provider. You can't show no signs of weaknesses. If you show weaknesses, then it's like, oh, he's soft. He's weak. He's less of a man. And especially in America today, especially as a black man, it's a lot going on in today's society where it's like if you're too strong, then you're a threat. But if you're weak, you shouldn't be here. So with depression as a black man in America, you can't show no signs of weakness. You can't have a moment to break down. You can't be vulnerable. You can't do any of that. Or, it's just really, really a different situation.
I think that when you went on social media and you let everybody know that you were dealing with depression, you went against that stigma, right? You were vulnerable, you were open, and you really inspired people. What happened for you when you released that post, when you sat in that vulnerability? How did that feel? What happened for you?
Oh, it was like a breath of fresh air. It was well needed. It was like that weight off my shoulders. Like with dealing with depression and things like that, you get back pain, and I had a lot of back pain. I've been dealing with back pain for some time, and it was like I stood up and I did my shoulders, and I'm like, okay, I feel all right now. And definitely seeing all this love and support from friends and family, to see that because I never revealed that to them. So it's like being vulnerable. Let's make that gangster again. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be to have your moments because, like I said, in America as a black man, you can't have any moments, and if you show too many signs of you being a strong black man, you're a threat.
Wow. You said, let's make being vulnerable gangster again.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that that is one of the most gangster things you can do. Vulnerability is scary, right?
It is very.
And we do have the work of Brene Brown, but I still think that there is this question mark around what being vulnerable means. So, what does being vulnerable really mean to you?
It means being okay in your own self. Is okay with being who you are. A lot of people put up this whole facade like they're something that they're not. And then when they get behind closed doors, they're a completely different person. It's like you're gonna be soft with your kids, your wife, but when you out in public, you this super tough guy. Like if that's not you 24/7. Why are you putting that on? Like it's okay to smile. It's okay to say hello to people. Some people they need money the whole time, and I guess what makes them feel okay with instilling fear in people, and that's not really cool. You shouldn't operate out of fear and being this dominant figure all the time. It's cool, but at the same time, it's like you don't have to do that.
So, you left off talking about how men will try to instill Jesus fear into the hearts of others. Can you talk about why that may be, and what is the fear surrounding being vulnerable?
I would definitely say it's a masculinity thing. I know guys feel like if they're the toughest guy in the pack, they seem the most intimidating, that people will respect them more. I would have to say the fear of being vulnerable is people don't want to look weak. And if they look weak, they feel like, people are going to look at them different, or, they're a target now. And so whoever they may be a target to, I don't know. That's a whole different situation. It's like you don't have to be this super large Hawk guy all the time. Even the Hawk slims down and turns into Bruce Banner, who's a human.
Wow, even the Hawk slims down and turns into Bruce Banner, who's a human. That is some juicy stuff. What were some of your fears when you came out and told everyone that you were dealing with this issue? What were some of your fears surrounding that moment?
My biggest fear was feeling like I lost touch. And I was at the top of my game. I was doing so many different things. I was editor chief of a website for a major DJ here in Atlanta, and I was managing a college radio station, and I had my own situation. So I was feeling myself. I was definitely drinking the Kool-Aid just a little bit, and then it came down. We all got to come back and humble ourselves. And that was a scary situation because it's like, now you hit ground zero. What do you do next? Like you've elevated and done everything on your goal list. And I think that's where I stopped. Like I didn't make any more goals as far as what I was doing. And when you hit ground zero and you have nothing left on your checklist to do, that did something to me because it's like, okay, what I do now is everybody, that I thought were my friends, will they all leave me now? Will they not? Will they befriend me because I don't have these things under my belt anymore, and I'm not doing these things. So it's like if I can't help you in a sense, were you really my friend in the first place?
That's so good what you just said, because what I heard you say is that the grass isn't always sweet. Like
Right.
we have these dreams and these goals and these aspirations, and we create our lives to be centered around these goals, and then we get them, and then we're still not there, right? We're still not fulfilled. We're still not happy, and we may be drinking the Kool-Aid, but when the glass is empty, what do we have left? How did you find what else you had left after the glass was empty?
I had to make some new goals. I definitely had to reset. Okay, all of that's in the past now. What's next? So if I set some 3 month goals, what's next after that? And then what? And then what? You got to have a plan. Without a plan, is nothing is going to work if you don't have a plan. If you don't put that into effect. And the biggest thing is I always felt like if I didn't have the money attached to the goal, or I didn't have the money attached to what I wanted to do or what I was doing, then it didn't make sense
Hmm.
because I equated every opportunity I'm not gonna say I equated every opportunity to money, but I equated it in my mind that it would lead to some money because I'm working so hard, people doing it. So it was like the universe. If you're doing this and you do it well, then the people with the money will come find you. And sometimes not everything is going to end up with a check. Just that experience that you will get that'll be everything that you will need. And that understanding, because it's like if you get the big chance, right now, today, will you be ready for it? A lot of people aren't ready for the big chance or the big opportunity if it came to them right now because there was no preparation. So they cheat themselves out of the experience because they got the opportunity, but they weren't fully prepared and ready for what came. But if you were prepared, you wouldn't have any worries.
Wow. I heard you say something about that is crucial. You talked about setting goals, right? 3 months. How do you set goals? Because what I found is like, I'm gonna talk about something that is so typical, right? Fitness, right? I was like, okay, I'm going to the gym 5 times a week. Dang, I'm not doing that. I'll go once. Or what will happen is I will go 5 times a week for a good 3 weeks, and then I'm done for 6 months. Right? So how do we realistically set goals for ourselves?
You got to start small. A lot of people go for the kill. They want the home run in the first set of goals that they have. And that's not always going to be the case because the goal that you may have may be a very hard task that'll take some prerequisites before you even get to that goal. So you need to knock out the small things, get the small things off, build that confidence, and then you can kind of, fish out and get those big goals knocked out.
Mm-hmm. How important is goal setting when you have depression?
It's key because a lot of it plays in hand to hand. A lot of depression leads or comes from feeling inadequate and not getting the things that you want off. So if you keep telling yourself, I'm going to do something, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and you don't do it, it does something to your ego. It does something to your person, who you are. Because now you've talked yourself out of everything you were going to do. And now in your mind, you're like, I can't do it. I can't do this, I can't do that, because you done failed yourself so many times. Mm-hmm. So now you have this sense of inadequacy, and it's like, where do you start over again? Because everything you don't work towards is no longer there.
Yeah. How did you come back, or how are you coming back from feelings of inadequacy?
Doing all the things I love, doing everything I love. Definitely reading more books, taking care of myself, talking to people. I don't have a therapist, but of course I talk to you all the time. I tell you, the things that I'm going through, and just keeping love around you. Keep that love around you, because without it, it'll lead you to a dark place if you don't have those people, those core people in your life and you speak with. So all the core people in my life, I try to speak to them, once, twice a day, every other day, things like that. I try to keep in touch, stay grounded. Because when you feel alone and you're in a dark place, it doesn't help you at all. Because most people, when they're going through these depression stages, they don't have people to talk to. So when they're finally able to speak out and talk to someone who's able to listen and not just really talk back, but just to listen, it means the world.
Yeah. What advice would you give to a young man who is currently in the thick of depression, who feels abandoned, who feels inadequate, who is dealing with all of these different issues? What advice would you give to him?
So that young person, that young man, grown man, whoever it is that's dealing with depression, I would definitely say stop and take a deep breath. Breathe, because we take that for granted. Being able to breathe deeply and feel it in our chest and feel it in our stomach, we take that for granted. Because a lot of people didn't wake up today. A lot of people don't have use of their limbs. They can't hear out their left ear, can't hear out their right ear. I know all the time, like if I get a toothache, or if I get an earache or something like that, and I'm like, man, it'd be nice to hear out my left ear, my right ear, or, I wish I didn't have this toothache. And it's those little things that we take for granted. But it's like if you have use and activity of all your limbs, and things like that, it feels so much greater. So to that young man, to that grown man, take a deep breath and just go about it, because another day, another second, another minute, another hour that you have is a blessing.
I want to go back to something that you said earlier in our interview when you talked about depression caused your back to hurt, and recently we've been learning a lot more about how trauma lives in our bodies. How important is it to move your body and get in tune with your body when you're dealing with depression?
Very important, because even though it's a mental game, that plays a big piece in how your body will react to how you treat yourself. You will have those issues. So for me, having back pains, which I've been dealing with since, it's going on 15 years.
Yeah, forever. Yeah.
A long time. To have that weight lifted off my shoulders, literally, and off my back, it feels good. I don't need a back trainer. I don't need to go to therapy, that I'm still paying for. I don't have those issues. I can just be myself. I can operate freely. I can move freely. I can exercise and feel good about it.
Good. And when you say therapy, do you mean physical therapy or therapy?
Yes, physical therapy.
Physical therapy. Good. When you're in a depression flare-up, how do you eat?
Everything.
You eat everything.
Everything. Good, bad, ugly, everything. Because that's one of the things. People who are going through depression, eating makes them feel better to let the time pass, and then before you know it, you done gained 20, 30 pounds.
If you could go back and you could have a conversation with 5-year-old baby Antoine, what would you say to him?
Stay energetic, be kind, and it's a weird saying, the saying, jack of all trades, master of none, but that's not the case. You can actually master a lot of trades and tricks that you want to do. It just takes time. So me being a computer guy, it took some time. I've been doing that since I was a kid. I remember when I picked up my first computer. I'm not tall, but I wanted to play professional basketball. I remember watching Space Jam with Michael Jordan. I used a tree in my backyard as a court. And, I went on to win trophies and all that stuff. I just never played, professionally and things like that. But just everything you want to do it. Do it. Nobody can stop you. Like, don't listen to the naysayers. Don't listen to people who say, dang, you doing this now? You doing something else? Like, yep, yeah, I did. And watch, I'm going to be great at it too. So, when it start paying your bills and things like that, then people kind of tend to be quiet about it, So just do all things that you want to do and be happy about it.
Yes, do all things that you want to do and be happy about it. This was absolutely great. Thank you so much for stopping by. Please let the people know where they can find you.
Thank you so much for having me on the show. It was such a pleasure and honor being over here. Y'all can find me on all social medias at WhoIsTwan, WHOISTWON, and be on the lookout May 9th.
Yes.
It's a big SMSD.
Can they find all things SMSD at WhoIsTwan?
Yes. They can find that and the Premiere Show on Instagram. That's the Premiere Show with an E on Premiere.
Yes, and please, before we go, explain to them what the Premiere Show is.
Premiere Show is it was formerly called the Premiere Radio Show when I was doing college radio at Clark Atlanta University. I turned it into a podcast, YouTube show. It's a lot more things in store. So that and SMSD are kind of like close knit together, so they're all in the same.
Dope. That is so awesome. It has been a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I told you. There was a moment in that interview where I almost cried. Like, I was like, he really went there, because I know that being a black man and being vulnerable is very hard, because that's not something, as we grew up, that was popular, to be soft and to be vulnerable and to be that open with your story. It was really frowned upon in our community. And so I was very proud doing this interview with him, because he didn't hold anything back. He shared his heart. and it was a huge honor. Something that he said that is still just ringing in my head. He said, set small, doable goals. And for me, that was powerful because we all, we're in a goal-oriented age. Everybody got goals. Do your first quarter, your second quarter, your third quarter, your fourth quarter, your New Year's goals. Do your vision board. And all of it is like they tell you, dream big, make big goals. All of that is very true. But what about the small goals? What about the goals that are going to build your confidence? What are the step by step things that you can do to, first of all, gain trust with self, and two, see the progress that you're making towards that larger goal? For me, I shared it like waking up early in the mornings. That's hard for me. It seems like small potatoes to somebody, but for me, that's hard. Or going to the gym. I would start going to the gym and I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna be here for an hour. Yeah, no. I would go maybe, but after about 3 weeks, I was pretty much done. And so I recently made a commitment. I'm gonna start with 20 minutes and I'm gonna work my way up to 2 hours. But right now, I'm at 20 minutes. And that's just what it's gonna be. That was one of my largest takeaways. And then also what he said is write it out. A big part of my healing is writing it out. If I don't write it out, it stays in there and it ferments and it becomes bitterness, which is what we're talking about next week. I hope I can see you there. It's powerful. My sister Jasmine Matthews is going to be there talking with us. And when I tell you that Jasmine is the embodiment of divinity, I have never in my life witnessed someone who carries that grace, that power, but it came at a cost. And she talks a lot about what that cost is. And so I'm so excited for you guys to meet her. Thank you. Y'all know how we end this out. We end this out with an affirmation followed by 3 deep, loving breaths. My affirmation for this week will be, I look forward to my future. I look forward to my future. I send you off with 3 breaths. Thank you for being a part of our family. I love you so much. God bless. And I'll see you next week. Ow, I'll see you next week. Ow, I'll see you next week. I'll see you next week. Clean my soul, clean my soul. But when you clean my soul,